Wife of 3 weeks lying to me already. I just found out that a guy my new wife works with was once a fling. We have been together for 3 years, and we just got married a month ago. I have asked her if there was anything between her and this guy before because of the way he acts when I am around. She always says no, I have never had anything to do with him. She swore. I've asked her more than on one occasion during our time together, and she always says no. The night before our wedding her friend made a comment about something and I kind of put 2 and 2 together, and 3 weeks later asked her again, and once more she denied it. Then she said they just went out and it meant nothing. Then I kept asking and she finally admitted they slept together when they were drunk. They work alone together at night in a hospital same room. Should I be pissed? I mean, she lied to me, her husband, and she continued to lie. I even asked her on the night before our wedding if there was anything. She wanted to tell me, and of course she said no. Who wouldn't be upset about this? I understand the past is the past, but this is not part of her past when she is still seeing this guy at work and texting and calling him. I'm not sure if I can get past this. I hate liars. The first month of marriage, and this comes out, it should have came out before we were married. She had plenty of time to come clean. What would you do? I should mention they did the deed over 5 years ago. So, she says, comments. She is still calling him and texting him. Wow, I don't think you are overreacting at all. Without being married, you experience trickle truth. That's when as you go more and more about a relationship. People with more experience and smarts than I will give you some great advice here. Your best bet is to listen to what they say and act. As for me, first thing I would do is insist that she change jobs. That would be the minimum. Good luck. I would react the same as you. Why hide the fact that she slept with him? She lied to you. Why? Lies create doubts. Let her know that. I personally would tell her how it's made you feel mistrusting towards her. And she needs to understand that a marriage is about being a team. Have a long talk about it and find out why she lied. It's important to know. It's probably not just the one time. Can you say trickle truth? Don't trust anything that comes out of her mouth. You are living a lie. Only weeks into marriage, anal and get out. You want to be walking on eggshells all the time, wondering if your future kids are yours. Hope he responds. You are right, I did lie and I should have been honest. I didn't lie to get what I wanted. I lied out of fear, the fear of being judged, of losing you and being a disappointment. This is part of an email I received this morning after leaving the house without saying a word to her. And they don't call or text a lot, just occasionally. And it is usually work-related. He just had a kid with another woman and they are getting married. Thing is, I am pissed that she lied, but it was a long time ago. And she had a BF for 5 years after their one-night thing, and I know he dated her roommate, but what pisses me off is why did she lie, she says, because she didn't want me to judge her, but what the hell? And who knows why the BF before me found out and blew up about it. And that's why, I don't know, I'm just shocked. She had a BF before me for 5 years, and he was before him. We have been together the last 3 years, just trying to state the fact that he was way before me. I'm not going to make a rash emotional decision. I'm going to drink and clear my head and figure out what I want to do. And if I decide to end it, I'm going to get all my crap in order first. I checked the county website but couldn't find an annulment form, so I will have to go down there. Hope they are open tomorrow morning. I'm not going home tonight. I'm going to find somewhere else to stay. Well, I am home now and she is here, and come to find out this happened after the 5-year BF, and a month before me she said she broke with her ex, got drunk, and slept with this guy. She said she never told anyone because it meant nothing and she was embarrassed about it. I talked to her best friend tonight about it. And she didn't know and said she's never seen anything happen at work. Kind of drunk now and sitting outside in front of the fire trying to clear my head, but it's not working. Life is too short for this. I don't get it. She is all feeling bad and crying, but it's all kind of I'm sorry, poor me crap. 3 years of the same lie is what is bothering me. She told the same lie the night before our wedding. This is crazy. What did I do to deserve this? And the kids are going to get hurt from us breaking up. Comments. OP, this is a tough one. On one hand, you could argue that this happened before she met you. The past is the past. I hate that cliche. And that you have no solid proof that she has been unfaithful to you since she's been with you. On the other hand, this is a huge red flag, and the incessant lying and slow trickle of information is not working in her favor. When you first posted, I figured that she did this 5 years ago while she was in her teens or early 20s. But then you mentioned that she is 31. So clearly this is not just some college fling or puppy love. She's a grown woman, and there is probably more to this story than you even want to know. She works with this guy on a frequent, daily basis, which itself isn't an issue. But you had suspicions for a reason based on his demeanor around you. And obviously your suspicions had some veracity in them. A month into a marriage is too soon to be having problems like this, but giving up so quickly isn't necessarily the best answer either. Assume she is telling the truth, that she ducked the guy once 5+ years ago, and that she has never been unfaithful to you in the meantime. Would this be acceptable to you? Probably, and if she's being honest with her info, albeit lying by omission, then you should be able to get through this with solid communication moving forward. However, in her case and at her age, her story has more holes than a golf course, and you're still discovering more holes. We don't have all of the intangible information, so it's easy for us to say divorce, but as an outsider looking at this, it's really difficult to take her story with this other guy seriously. OP responds, I told her that Friday night that I wanted her to delete him from her phone and no more calls. She was pretty historical that night, so maybe she freaked when she seen he called, and that's why she deleted the VM. Just a thought. I am really trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it's not easy. She even said that are not alone much at work. Well, her dad was just admitted to the hospital for a knee issue, and I had a chance to see the inside of the lab and look at it from a where would you cheat point of view. Let's just say it would be very easy to get away with it in that lab. His wife works at the hospital too. I'm thinking of hanging out around super time and see if I can run into her, get to know her, and mention the past to her. Yeah, well, I'm not giving in, things aren't the way they were. I remind her of the situation all the time, not daily but close. She is working Friday night, and she said she was working with a woman who we both know but didn't know who else she was working with. She said she hasn't checked yet to see, but her work schedule is hanging on the wall next to her desk here at home, so it's obvious who she is working with, and it's him. What's sad is I want to believe her, and I know she is head over heels for me, but she said she lied because she would leave her if I found out about him. And I would have called off the wedding until I knew the truth. How could she love both of us? I mean, we are really close. That's why it's so hard to imagine her messing around. How can I really know? I've never seen so many red flags in my life. But I cannot leave just yet. I need to secure my financial situation first. I am watching her. I at random had her log into her email and work email, and she also gave me her cell phone website username and password so I could check phone records. She also agreed to take a polygraph. Update, we have been ducking like rabbits. I'm not going to let this get in the way. I have made it very clear that if anything else comes out, I am gone. And yes, she did serve me a crap sandwich, which could have been taken care of a long time ago. Can't always focus on the negative. The situation with the wife is still the same. She offered up her phone records and said she would take a polygraph. The only testing site is 90 miles away and only works Monday to Friday. I am working on getting that in order. She has been switching shifts with people she works with, so she doesn't have to work with him at night. No more lies that I am aware of so far. I still have a suspicion in my mind about why he called that night and the VM. I can only imagine what that said. Other than that, I have been watching her the best I can. I have a VAR, but it hasn't turned up anything yet. Has anyone ever been able to get through this type of problem? It seems on here the stories all lead to the big D. Half a year later. Update, life is good, or has been so far, no worries. But tonight, I found out she is working with him again. I found out because I checked her schedule. Until now she has been changing shifts with her friends, so she would not be working with him. It really hasn't been an issue. So should I bring this up? I mean, she didn't ask if it was okay or if I would be concerned if she was working with him again. I haven't even let her know that I know that she is working with him. She was first with him 3 weeks before we met. It wasn't years before, it was weeks. And to get you all up to date, she is now pregnant with my child. Hope you guys get through your problems out there. Story 2, what to do. My story is I have been married for almost 12 years. I was always happy for the most part. Sure, we had our arguments from time to time, but I was happy. We have a son that is about to turn 10 and a daughter who is 6. My wife has been unhappy at times and told me at different times that she didn't feel like there was any communication between us, and she said I wasn't there for her emotionally. This last January she said we needed to talk, and she informed me that I needed to find some place to live, that we needed to separate. I talked to her and said that is not what I wanted and said I could do better. After about a week she agreed to me not moving out. I thought things were going fine, and she even commented to me that she told one of the girls she works with that I was doing a lot better and that I really seemed to be listening to her and paying more attention to her. Early March she was planning a trip the weekend of May 1st to run a marathon with her sister. She wanted me to go. I told her I would like to go. But I couldn't because I couldn't take off work the Friday before and Monday after the marathon. Plus, my son was in a baseball tournament that weekend and I helped coach his team, and I would also have my daughter. She got really mad at me because I wasn't going to go with her. We got through that, so I thought. I talked and texted her a few times while she was gone, and I could tell there was something wrong. I picked the kids up early on Monday so they would be there when she got home. When she got home, the kids ran and hugged her and I gave her a hug, but she was cold as ice. We walk in the house and she went to lay down and I walked in the bedroom and she said, "We need to talk. You need to find a place." I begged, pleaded, and everything else for a week, but no give. She said she needed space, so I rented an apartment. Was there for a week and she called and said we needed to talk. So I went by there and she said she was scheduling an appointment with a mediator, that she wanted a divorce. I work an odd shift schedule, 1 month of nights and then 1 month of days. So we told the kids I was living in the apartment so I can sleep during the day when I work nights. My son cried and said he didn't want me to live anywhere else. I teared up and she gave me a look from Satan himself and said I was going to have to control myself. We went to the mediator and split everything, including the kids, 50-50. She filed in June and our last court date is early November. We have done some things together with the kids, like a family vacation. But I don't know how to act towards her when we were on the vacation a couple of weeks ago. I didn't say a whole lot to her and she said in front of the kids, "I know you usually don't say much." But the silence is defining. This only confirms everything. My son looked at me and said he has been talking. She shot back at him that he needed to stay out of the conversation. We went to the WWE wrestling a couple weeks ago together, and at dinner before the event my STBXW asked my son what he wanted for his birthday. And he said, "My dad to move back home." She snapped back as cold and mean as I have ever heard. "Well, that's not going to happen. So if you want something you better think of something else." I'm sorry for such a long post, I just don't know who this person is. She would have never said anything like the things she is saying to the kids now. After she said that to my son about his birthday, she went to the bathroom and my son says to me, "She's not always like this," and I said, "Like what?" And he said, "Like this. She is only like this when we are all together." I'm wondering if she just tries to be in a bad mood or tries to start arguments in front of the kids to justify to them that that is why the divorce is happening. That mom and dad argue too much to stay together. I just wanted to add I love my wife and want my family together. I told her I would do whatever it takes for that to happen. She says she notices the changes in me towards the kids and it makes her even madder. I wasn't a bad dad before, but I'll admit I am a better dad now. But as she says, too little too late. Just last week I went over to the house to mow the yard and she came home and we talked a little and she actually said it wasn't a bad marriage. I thought to myself, then why is it ending? The last time we were all together she looked at me and asked why I was in a good mood so much lately. I asked if she wanted me to be in a bad mood. She said it just looked so fake. I said if my being in a good mood was any indication that this is what I wanted, that wasn't the case, but I have no control over what is happening and I'm dealing with it the best I can. She says it makes her even madder that she couldn't bring out the good in me. I agree with you, gearhead, on she is committed to the course. It's like a racehorse with blinders on, racing to the finish. And the kids' feelings are minor, going to keep her from getting there. My first mistake, moving out. She actually said to me, "If you don't move out, I am." I should have let her, but I had no clue it was going to crumble this fast. I moved out 2nd week of May and 3rd week of May went to mediator. Someone else was one of the first things I asked. She said no. Her sister and brother-in-law said no. And I really don't think there was, because I think he would have surfaced by now, or I think she would have told me to be honest. She likes to throw the divorce in my face a lot and tell me what a screw-up I am and how I caused this whole mess. I work nights sometimes, so I have to sleep during the day. Last night I called to see if I could get the kids today after work and she said no. Why don't I go back to sleeping all day and see the kids for 15 minutes before I go to work? I think she is seeing that I am doing better, so now she is going to try and hurt me with the kids. Update, I called just a moment ago to ask if I could pick up the kids and she said it again. "Your fake personality is repulsive." And I just laughed and said, "What on earth are you talking about?" She said, "Your fake cheery personality." I am an IC and I said the same thing to my counselor, that in today's times it could be another woman. I really don't think so, but hey, you never know. I don't want it to sound like I did nothing wrong in our marriage, but there was never any screwing around, drinking or meds. I could have shown more love and appreciation to her and my kids. I wasn't perfect by any means, but in my mind, not a deal breaker. My wife and I are separated, about to officially be divorced now for, she filed, I don't want the divorce. I admit I got complacent in the marriage and didn't show enough love and appreciation as I should have, obviously, or we wouldn't be where we are. I never stopped loving my wife or our 2 children. I guess I just didn't show it enough. We separated in early May, and at first, I did the usual begging and pleading. Later I found out that is what you don't want to do. So I backed off. When I have the kids on my weekends, she said she doesn't do good without them and she can't sleep. She feels alone. I told her that I love her and don't want this and that we can work on our problems. She said it is just weird that I want to work on the relationship now, that she can't go backwards and it is too little too late. I just can't understand how a parent who misses their kids so much is willing to see them half the time and give up on the marriage. She says she has worked on our marriage the last 11 years and she is exhausted and has no work left in her. She said she doesn't know if she can forgive herself for the misfortune that this will affect our kids, 10 and 6, but is not willing to stay and work on the marriage. There is no other man that I know of and no drinking, drugs, or anything of the sort, just that I haven't been there for her emotionally, and she says we have grown apart. I just don't understand how you can just give up on your marriage and be willing to see your kids half of the time, but then cry because you don't do good without the kids. I guess she has been hurt by me more than the hurt of missing our kids. Not physically but emotionally hurt, not feeling loved. My son's birthday was Saturday and they stayed with me Friday night. We went over to the house Saturday and my STBXW and I were working on his birthday cake. We bought an ice cream cake and we were turning it into a wrestling ring with black twizzles as corner posts and candy straws as the ropes. She cut part of the cake off to make it square and used part of the piece she cut off to use as steps to get into the ring. I said, that is pretty cool, I never thought of making steps, that is a good idea. She says, nothing you say is sincere. About 10 minutes later she says, this is going to sound weird, but you need to leave and come back in a couple of hours. I need to be here with just the kids. I got mad, but didn't say anything. Told the kids bye and my son asked why I was leaving. I got in my truck, pulled out of the driveway, and turned the corner and pulled over, shut my truck off, and walked back in the house. My daughter asked what I forgot, and I said nothing. I walked into the kitchen and calmly told her that it was my son's birthday and I'm going to spend the day with him, and if she couldn't handle being around me, she needed to leave. She said, you're in a $sign hole. I said, maybe, but I'm not leaving. I guess she called her sister because she left with her to go get a coffee. She came back about 15 minutes later and said, I don't care if you stay here, but you were just smothering me in the kitchen with your fake conversation. Some of my son's friends came over for his birthday and we took them to lay laser tag. When we got back, she went straight to bed and I stayed with the kids. I checked on her and she said her sinuses were killing her. I got her some medicine and another blanket because she was freezing. I could see she was crying and I asked if she was all right and she said that she just has bad anxiety. I said, anxiety over what? And she just said her life. And she doesn't sleep at all without the kids there. I told her to get some rest and I would be there with the kids. She did let me touch her forehead to see if she had fever. It was really nice to touch her. I told her just the other day that through all the mean things she has said and the attitude she has had with me, I still love her and I always did and always will. Love is among other things a choice and I choose to love her. Her sister called me the other day and told me she is still trying to talk to her, and she said she told her that through all he has been through he still loves you. That has to mean something. Her sister said, she said, what has he been through? Her sister said, he was kicked out of his home and separated from his family. I really am proud of the way I have not really gotten mad through all of this. Gotten really frustrated but haven't yelled or gotten mad and said things I would regret. I hope that counts for something in her eyes. She told me Sunday that it is just weird that I want to work on the relationship now and she doesn't. I said, did you think I would just say okay and walk away? I went and bought some flowers today and left them at the house for her when she gets home. She works late tonight and I have the kids. I just left a handwritten note that said, I hope this makes your day a little brighter. Rose, I will take the advice you gave with the kill her with kindness. I have looked at the 180 and like some of the concept, but I think some of it was part of the problem in the marriage. She feels I didn't appreciate what I had and she felt like we weren't good friends and we didn't grow together and have an emotional connection. But in all reality, Nothing I say is going to be right in her eyes now. So my actions may speak a little louder. I pray every day the Lord will soften her heart, and if it is His will, then that is what He will do in His time. The kids and I went to my son's hitting lesson last night, and she showed up not long after it started. We talked for just a second about maybe getting my son some strength and agility training. Then she tries to argue with me about how I don't need to be at every one of my son's hitting lessons. I work in odd shifts, so I schedule them around my schedule. He goes on Wednesday one week and then Friday the next week. But I schedule them so she can be there also if she wants. She said I shouldn't schedule them around my schedule, that I don't have to be at every one of them, and that I don't go to every one of my daughter's gymnastics lessons. I told her if we were able to change my daughter's schedule, I would do that, but it is Mondays only and I work every other Monday, so I miss every other week. I told I would be at every one of my son's lessons. I'm sorry. Every year before now I have coached my son's baseball team. She said now that you are not coaching, you don't have to be at every one. I guess she just doesn't want me to be there, or she is just trying to argue over nothing. We left there and she said we needed to come by the house and get the kids some clothes for the kids' school pictures today. I said we were, and while we were doing that I would fix the dishwasher. We get over there and I worked on the dishwasher and got it running. There were a lot of dishes in the sink, so I started loading. She said no, I'll do that, and I said I got it. She walked through the kitchen a few minutes later and said stop doing that, I'll do it. Again I said I got it. I finished putting the dishes in and started it. Then my son wanted to play catch with the football, so we went outside to play catch for a minute. When we went back in, she seemed to be in a hurry for us to leave, so we left. As we were leaving, she gave me a thanks for fixing that. I didn't get a chance to talk to her much about us because the kids were there after we were at the apartment for a little bit. I called her and asked her when exactly she wanted to have the kids this weekend for her birthday. And she said whenever. I said it was her choice and I wasn't going to deny her the kids on her birthday. I did ask her when did my son ask her if I could move back home for a week and see how it goes. She seemed to get agitated and said the last time she had them she couldn't remember. They were lying in bed and he asked her and she said that's not going to happen. We tried that. It didn't work. When you get older you will understand. I don't know if she says these things in a hateful tone to my son or just to me. I told her I was just wondering when he asked her and what was said. She said it was no big deal. I said okay, and the phone went dead. I called back and asked if she hung up on me because she didn't say bye or anything, and she said I thought you were done talking, and I said no, I still want to talk to her face to face, and she said what do you want, and I said you. She said well, that can't happen and we are not putting this off. I told her I loved her and I wasn't giving up on us. Later on, I sent her a text saying I would like for us all to go to dinner for her birthday, and she never replied. The kids and I stopped by the house this morning to get some different pants, and she seemed to be in a good mood. Not towards me, but in a good mood. We left and I told her to have a good day. After I dropped the kids off and got back to my apartment, I called and asked her if she found out what is supposed to happen in court tomorrow, and she said she doesn't know, that she would send me the email from the attorney, but we were not putting this off. She asked me why I needed to know, and I said because I am part of this also and I wanted to know what is going on. She said she would be walking around dazed and confused, but the attorney hopefully would know what was going on. She said she was sending the email right now, but when I got the email it was a confirmation for my son's hitting lesson that I sent her. I sent her an email back and told her I didn't get it and that I didn't want to delay it. I wanted to stop it. I loved her and wanted to do whatever it takes to keep our family together. She said I'm a good guy and a great father, but there just isn't an emotional connection. She said to me not long ago that it wasn't a bad marriage, she just sees it as what it is to people that didn't grow together but grew apart. She did finally send me the email from the attorney, and she is supposed to go before the judge Friday at 1:30. I'm not obligated to be there, but I am going to be there. I plan on getting her to talk with me after. I am on the night shift right now, so I couldn't talk to her tonight. She never responded to my request that the kids and I take her to dinner Saturday night. So I texted her right before I walked into work saying I guess it was a no on the dinner with the kids and I. But if she would go to dinner with just me, that would be great. I also said I know that she didn't mean to be hurtful when she said she got married and had the kids and she could mark those off her bucket list. Although it did hurt. I said I know that was just her hurt talking. She responded telling me to stop playing the victim and quit turning her words into negatives. And if I took that as such, then that confirms the fact that I absolutely don't know her at all. I texted her back and said I'm not playing the victim, and I was just trying to tell her I know where she is at and I know it is her hurt that is lashing out, and I understand that. I told her that I have always and still do love her. I just made the mistake of not always showing my love. But it was always there. I told her my mistakes have hardened her heart for me, but it isn't something we can't overcome. I told her that I carry the guilt every day that I hid my love for her from her. And the guilt that our kids will only see us half the time because of it. I agree with the letting her get mad. We had a couple of talks a couple of months ago, and she really let me have it. I told her I thought that was good for her, as hard as it is to hear it. The last couple of weeks she has kind of been nice, but the last couple of days she has been a viper. I called the house tonight and was going to talk to the kids about 8 and no one answered. So I called her cell and she didn't answer. So I texted her and asked if they weren't home, or was she just not answering. She never responded. I called again about 9 and my son answered. I talked to him for a few minutes and he asked when he was getting to stay with me, and I said probably not until Sunday. He said, but I thought we were coming to your house on Saturday. I said, well, you and Sissy are going to stay with Mom on Saturday for her birthday. He said, well, why can't we stay with you until we go to eat at the Japanese steakhouse? I said, are you guys going there to eat Saturday night? And he said, yes, are you not coming? He turned and said, Mom, is Dad not coming to eat with us? I could hear her in the background say, no, Dad has to work. Which isn't the truth. I told my son that I wanted to talk to my daughter, but my wife said no, we are studying for her spelling test tomorrow. I said, okay, I'll call back in a minute. I called her cell and it immediately went to voicemail. Then I called the home phone and no answer. I texted her and said I would like to take her and the kids golfing Saturday. And I was just wanting to tell my daughter good luck on her spelling and reading test tomorrow. I also asked if she wanted me to take my son to a friend of his birthday party on Sat. She did respond with the party got moved to next Sat. I replied with, if you don't want to go play golf or to dinner, all you have to do is say no. I don't get the no answer. She never responded back. I'm not going to give up, but I think it is a lost cause. I was just a stump in the relationship, and I sat on the sidelines. But we always went and did things together, and as a family I don't go out with the guys or anything like that. We have been to Vegas a few times. But yet she says I never wanted to do anything with her. Sometimes I think she really just doesn't love me anymore, but I hope her anger means she still cares. Well, I got a call this morning saying that the attorney needed me to sign a paper before court today. I asked her what paper and where. She said she would send me the email. The email didn't show, so I called her back and said I didn't get it. She said it was just a paper with numbers all broken down, and the child support numbers, and that she was just supposed to go before the judge and tell him that she didn't want the child support. I said, okay, I'll meet you at the courthouse. She calls back about an hour later and says the attorney said that I didn't need to sign it and that I wasn't obligated to be there and was no need to be there. She said that they weren't trying to pull something over on me, that it was just she had to tell the judge that she didn't want the child support. I said, okay, but with every intention of going. I show up at the courthouse, and I see her and the attorney walking in the other door and wait on them. They turned a corner and I followed them up the escalator until they seen me. We go into an empty courtroom, and he tells us to sit on a bench and he would get the judge. While we are sitting there, she says, what are you doing here? You didn't have to be here. I said I am involved in this and I want to know what is going on. She said, he is defending me, well, not defending but representing me. I said I know that, but I still want to know what is going on. Just about that time the attorney says you can come back here. So I let her get up and he says you can come back here also. We go into the judge's chamber, and he says to us, raise your right hand and do you swear to tell the truth? And so on. The attorney asks us some legal stuff, and the judge signs some papers and says you are now officially divorced and by law you cannot marry for 6 months. Wow, never seen this coming. We walk out of the judge's chambers, and the attorney says we don't have to worry about the November 4th date. He would take care of it. He turns to the court clerk and says strike the November, for date it is taken care of. We walked out and the attorney had another case, so he went a different direction. We were going down the escalator, and I say, does this mean we are officially divorced? And she said, I think so. Then she laughs and says, are you upset we can't marry for 6 months? I didn't respond and turned the corner and left. When I got down the road away, I called her and said, "Would you like to talk about what just happened?" And she said she is as shocked as I am and that she had no clue that was going to happen, that she had her brain wrapped around forth, and that she thought that was the final day. But this didn't change anything. She said we were just incompatible, and that I didn't do the things that she needed, and that I did what I thought I needed to do, but it wasn't enough for her. She said it doesn't make her way right or wrong or my way right or wrong, just incompatible. She said she doesn't love me, and I can't make her love me. She said she wants to find someone that understands her and that can appreciate her for her. I was just in a day, so I don't remember what all else was said. But she said she had to go because she couldn't drive and talk. I went home to change clothes and call work to tell them I wouldn't be in tonight. I went to the family home to get my boat out of the garage, and she called and said she was just calling to check on me and see if I was all right. I said no, I'm not all right, that I didn't want this, and I don't want to lose my kids. She said, "You're not losing the kids." And I said I am losing them half the time, but it wasn't just the kids. I love her and this just isn't what I wanted. I know we could have worked on us and got through this. But now we will never know. She said that is where we are different. I don't love you and the kids are fine. She said she is happy now, and if the parents are happy then the kids will be happy. I said I didn't agree, and that I was at the house getting my boat out of the garage. She says, "Oh, you're getting your boat out of the garage. Thanks." Then she hung up. I took my boat down to my mom and dad's house. And while I was down there, I saw where she posted on her Facebook. It's official, real classy. She called just a moment ago and said she was just checking on me and said really sarcastic, "I was worried about your mental state." I didn't even respond to that, I just said call me when the kids get up tomorrow so I can come get them. That has been my thought the whole time, but nothing ever surfaced. It wouldn't surprise me, but I just don't know. I'm definitely going to start the 180 for myself for sure, hopeful one day soon I can let go. But I just don't do good without the kids. It is just heartbreaking, that is just the part one don't understand. How you can just give up on a marriage that she described as not a bad marriage and break up our family and give up half the time with the kids. I could have it explained a million times and I wouldn't understand. Maybe someday I will. Update, I had the kids last night and she called to talk to the kids. I asked the kids if they wanted to talk and they said they were good, meaning they didn't want to talk on the phone. She said, "I make them talk to you when you call. Now keep in mind she will only answer half of the time when I know they are home, and when I text her asking about the kids she rarely responds." So I handed the phone to my son and told him to talk to his mom. He talked to her for just a second, then handed the phone to my daughter. She talked for just a second, then got off the phone. Ex calls today and says she is just calling to check on me. I said I was fine and she asked what I was doing. I said I was looking on the net for houses, and she asked where at, and I said I was just looking. I told her I wasn't going to get one soon, but we'll have to eventually. She suggested a couple of areas, and I said thanks. Then again, she said she was just calling to check on me. I said I'm fine and thanks. When I picked my kids up from school, my daughter said she needed to make a poster for school. And it was supposed to be turned in today. I asked her how to come. I am just now finding out about this. And she said they sent a paper home last Thursday. The ex had them Thursday and Friday. I called her and asked if she knew where this paper was, and she said it was at home and that she would help her with it. I said we were going to go by the house to get the paper. She said she was on her way and would be there shortly, the kids and I found the paper and left. She texted me not long after and asked if we already left, and I said yes. We are going to get some poster board. But would she get some family photos to use on the poster and bring them to my daughter's gymnastics tonight? She never responded, so I sent her a text back saying yes, no, maybe. She finally responded yes, of course. While we were at my daughter's gymnastics, I told her if she wanted to help with the project that was fine. But she would never let me come help with something like that when she had them. She said she didn't care either way. If I didn't need her help, she wouldn't help. I said I could handle it. Right before we left, she asked if we could agree to do the holiday schedule like we always do the kids, and I would go to my parents' Thanksgiving for lunch. Then drop the kids off so she could go to her mother's Thanksgiving night. I said that was fine. She said Christmas the kids and I would go to my parents' Christmas Eve and she could have them Christmas. She said that way it will be the same as it always has been for the kids. I said it won't be the same because I have always been there Christmas morning after Santa came. She said, well, Santa can come Christmas Eve at your house and Christmas Day at hers. I said it wasn't going to be normal any way we do it, but I guess that way was as good as it can get. She said, I think it will be fantastic, maybe we can switch off every year. I said that sounds good. She stays at gymnastics for just a minute to fill out a paper and the kids and I left as we were pulling out of the parking lot. She came walking out the door and was walking right in front of us. I gave my truck some gas like I was going to run over her. Mind you, we were about 20 yards from her. And she gave me a go-to-hell look and shook her head. I thought it was funny, but she didn't see any humor in it. She didn't even wave or anything to the kids. Oh well, I'm being nice. I will look up the manning up. It is just in my nature to be a nice guy, but I understand what you are saying. Nice guys do finish last, I guess, in my case anyway. I called the kids last night about 9 to tell them good night, and while I was talking to my daughter, I could hear her in the background saying, okay, that's enough. Let your brother talk. Then my son talked about the seconds, and my wife said, okay son, that's enough, talk to him tomorrow. The only reason I called at 9 was because I called about 8.30 and no one answered. I texted her later and said the screaming in the background was a little ridiculous. She texted me back this morning and said she didn't mean to be a jerk, but the kids were in bed. I texted her back and said she was being a jerk because the kids couldn't have been in bed for more than 2 minutes and it wasn't like I was going to talk for 30. And if she would answer the phone, it would have been a non-issue. I hate to do it, but I can play the not answer game when I have them. Half the time she never calls to talk to them anyway, which is really odd. I really do need a haircut. The funny thing is, that is what she does. We opened up our own hair salon about 1 year after we were married, and she is the only person that has cut my hair for the past 12 years. I did go to a cheap hair cutting place one time since I left, and it was really odd feeling. I will find somewhere to get it cut tomorrow, because I really need it cut. She called today, I didn't answer. Then she left a text saying we needed to go to the attorney's office and sign a quick claim deed for the house today or tomorrow. I replied about 3 hours later saying tomorrow. The hits just keep on coming. On the bright side, I do get to pick the kids up from school tomorrow. Yes, our divorce is final and, in our agreement, I let her keep the house. I know, really dumb on my part. I took nothing for the business that we started together and she got the house. I guess that is the blowback from being a nice guy. I get to walk away with just my stuff and start all over. The quick claim deed is just to get my name off the title. At least we do have joint custody, and I get my kids half the time, better than every other weekend. This is where the anger comes in. If I would have known she was going to be such a witch, then I wouldn't have been such a nice guy and gave her everything. I just really didn't think it was going to end up like this. Lesson learned, but expensive lesson. I'm doing my best, but it sure is hard. It would be so much easier if I didn't have to see her or talk to her so often. I mean, I still talk or see her every day because of something with the kids. She called earlier this afternoon to ask if I wanted to go on a field trip with my daughter in a couple of weeks. She couldn't go. Then started to try and criticize my choice of dinner for the kids. I just said, is that all you wanted? Then she said yes. I said okay, bye. I'm not going to put up with that crap anymore. I'm not going to argue. I'm just not going to listen to it. We are not married anymore, and I'm not going to listen to it. I went to go get my hair cut earlier, went into one salon and they were booked up. The lady suggested I go just down the street. So I did. I walked in there and there were about 4 girls that used to work at our salon. I had no clue they worked there, and I didn't think they recognized me. I got my hair cut by a girl I didn't know and left without talking to anyone. About an hour later, a girl that used to work at our salon friended me on Facebook. She works at the salon where I just got my hair cut, but she wasn't there. About 10 minutes later, my ex called asking why I friend her and why I disrespected her by going to that salon when I knew all those girls worked there. I told her that I didn't know they all worked there, and it was just bad luck I even ended up there. She was just livid and screaming and calling me every name in the book. Then she texted me that if I buy a house in what she calls the hood, she was going to fight me for full custody. She and her sister befriended me on Facebook. Boy, all I did was walk in and get a haircut. Guys, I think I am covered as far as the quick claim deed. It says in our agreement that she gets the house and I am free from any financial aspects of the house. I really have had my fill of her crap. I still have a bunch of tools and whatnot in my shop at the house, and we agreed verbatim to let me store that stuff in there until I found a house. Should have gotten it in writing. She calls yesterday and says I have 30 days from the divorce final to get my stuff where she can donate it to Goodwill. Guess I'm gonna have to find a storage. Some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth and things she texts. I really think she has lost her mind. My comment, just ignore her, ghost her. There is no point of dealing with her anymore. Focus on new women. There are plenty out there. But if you focus on yourself, there's always someone waiting for you in the corner. Work on yourself, your body shape, your income, and most importantly, your confidence. If you agree, sub and hit that bell. Well, here goes. This is sort of embarrassing, but I just found out that my wife of just 3 years, I am 31, and my wife is 29, had a threesome 1 week before we were married. The most horrible thing is, from the looks of it, she was never going to tell me, and I would have gone on living my life thinking she was this amazing person who did everything right. When in reality, she was just as flawed as so many of us are. We don't have any kids or any outstanding debt together. So, there wouldn't be any messy legalities to deal with. I don't know how to begin to rebuild trust with her, or if I even want to try. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but like I said, I wasn't looking for anything, but I started to notice a few weeks ago. She would always hang out with a friend of hers and her husband, a lot, even canceled a few of our plans to go hang out with him or do something with just the three of them. I confronted her about it, and she said that they were just friends with a long history and that I was being paranoid. I didn't want to believe her, but I had no reason not to. So I didn't really press. I trusted what she said and didn't bring it up anymore. A few weeks go by and I get a call from my wife's sister asking me what time would I be home after work. I was like, why? She said that she needed to talk to me about something, but couldn't do it over the phone. I told her I would be home in a few hours, and she said she would come over then. When I got home, my wife's sister was at the front door. As soon as I walked up, she told me that her and her husband had been talking and they thought that I should know that right before I married her sister. Her sister had a threesome with the couple she hangs out with a lot. I said, what, you're joking? She says, no, I'm not joking. She said that my wife told her and swore her to secrecy. I hesitated for a second and said, swore you to secrecy? Why are you telling me now? She said, because she thought you should know. And that if it were her, she would want to know. I went into shock. Couldn't believe it. She even described the events of that night in detail to me. She said that her and her husband had been debating for months on whether or not to tell me, but they decided that I deserved to know. They didn't want me to find out some other way and think they were keeping something from me. I thanked her for telling me and we hugged. She left. I go inside and sit on the couch in shock and in disbelief. I gather myself and I call a friend of mine about what I was just told, and he recommended right away that I confront her about it. My friend said, I will be careful about what you say and how you say it. You don't want to make things worse than they already are. I thought about what my friend said and decided that I was going to wait until the next day to talk to her about it. The next day at work, I couldn't focus on anything. All I could think about was what I had been told and what it meant. I came home from work and my wife was in the kitchen, cooking dinner. As soon as she saw me, she knew something was wrong. She asked me what was wrong and I said nothing. She asked me again. And this time I said, we need to talk. She turned off the stove and we sat down at the kitchen table. I looked her in the eye and said, I was told that right before we got married. You had a threesome with the couple you hang out with. Her face went pale white. She couldn't say anything. I asked her if it was true. She finally found her voice and said, yes, it's true. I asked her why she did it. She said, I don't know. I was drunk and it just happened. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She said, because I knew you would be hurt and disappointed in me, and I didn't want to lose you. I asked her if she loved me. She said, yes, of course I do. I asked her if there was anything else I should know. She said, no, that's it. I told her I needed some time to process what she had told me and left the room. A few days went by and we didn't really talk about what happened. We just tried to act like everything was normal, but things were not normal. I couldn't get the image out of my head of her with another man, let alone another couple. I started to doubt everything she ever told me. I started to question our whole relationship. I mean, she cheated, we were engaged to be married, and she cheated, plain and simple. A few days after that, I came home. She was sitting on the couch and I just flat out told her I wanted a divorce. She begged and pleaded with me, saying she was sorry and that she would do anything to make it up to me. I said, no, I'm done. I can't trust you anymore. I told her she betrayed me and kept it a secret and I wouldn't be able to look at her the same. She started crying and I just walked away. When I walked away from her, she pleaded one last time to give her another chance. I just simply said, I can't, and left. I went to a hotel and stayed there for a few days just to clear my head. I came home and she was gone. She had moved out. I don't know where she went. The next day, I called a few divorce attorneys in the area to see what my options are and start the process. The attorney I settled on said that since we don't have any kids and no assets together, this should be a pretty easy divorce. Fast forward a few days, my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me and says she needs to talk to me about something. She comes over and we sit down, and she tells me that her sister is pregnant with my child. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what to say or do. I asked her when she found out. She said a few days ago. I asked her sister, why didn't my soon-to-be ex-wife tell me? She said, because you two were not talking and you would probably use it against her in the divorce. I said, wait, I want to make sure this baby is mine. Then her sister interrupts me and says, it may not be yours. Then I said, let me guess, because of the couple she has been cheating with. She said, yes, it's possible. She then said, what are you going to do about it? I told her I didn't know. I needed some time to think about it. Even if the baby is mine, I am still going through with the divorce. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. A few weeks go by and my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me back and says that her sister wants to talk to me. She comes over and we sit down at the kitchen table and she says, I'm sorry for what I did. I was drunk and it just happened. I said, yes, you were drunk, but that's not an excuse. I then told her we don't need to talk about that anymore. I have made my decision. She then said, I know you're going through with the divorce, but I want you to know that I'm keeping the baby regardless if it's yours or not. She then said, I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me someday. I told her I forgave her a long time ago. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. After we had that discussion, she leaves. A few weeks go by and my attorney says that he has finally gotten around to filing the divorce petition. I am new to these forums, but I have a lot to think about if this kid is mine and the upcoming divorce. I appreciate the support I got. I have to make sure I make the right decisions. I know I am with the divorce. I can't be weak and take her back because she has a baby on the way that might not be mine. I will come back and give an update on my situation. I don't know when that will be. Hello everyone. I wanted to give an update on my situation since finding out that my wife of 3 years had a threesome 1 week before our wedding. Since then, she has moved out. I found out that she has been living with her sister and is hanging out with her friend and her husband. And supposedly she is pregnant with my child, possibly twins. My soon-to-be ex-wife has tried to get back together with me. It seems like almost every week and I keep telling her there is no chance of that happening. Seems she doesn't get it, or maybe she is just hoping that I would change my mind. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks and my attorney informs me that the divorce hearing is scheduled almost a month away. I go to the divorce hearing and find out that my soon-to-be ex-wife is also asking for spousal support, even though she is the one who cheated and is currently living with her sister rent-free. The judge decides to decline a request for spousal support, saying that she has no basis for spousal support and you have only been married for 3 years. The judge asked both attorneys if there was anything else and both say no. And the judge grants me the divorce. I didn't lose anything. A few weeks after the divorce, I found out that my ex-wife's sister kicked her out of her house and she is now living with the couple that she had a threesome with. I also found out that she is not pregnant and was never pregnant. I was shocked that she would fake a pregnancy to try and get money from me, but I guess she would do anything to get what she wants. And to my surprise, she still calls and sends text messages. I don't respond to either of them. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for reading this and supporting me. I am still heartbroken over this, but divorcing her was the best. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marriage Stories, where we dive into the heartwarming and sometimes challenging tales of love and commitment. Today, we have a special story that will touch your heart and remind you of the beauty and strength found in every marriage. This story is called Wife Caught Cheating After 18 Years. I have never been to one of these forums, and I don't know if this will even help me, but I just recently found out that my wife of 18 years was cheating on me with one of her wealthy clients. She is an attorney. My wife went through great lengths to try and hide her affair, but she made one crucial mistake. She forgot to delete the destinations in the car. When using the navigation system, they told me where she went and I took screenshots of all of it. And I had another gadget in her car. Once I found out, I didn't say anything. I wanted to get more concrete proof. I am a trust fund baby. So, I have access to money and I hired a very good private investigator. I put the private investigator on a retainer. I was sort of pay him as he gathered the evidence I needed. I had to be very careful because if my wife found out I was onto her, she would have become even more secretive and I may have never found out the truth. So, as the weeks went by, I never said anything to her. My demeanor didn't change. I acted like everything was normal. But all the while I was getting more and more evidence of her affair. To top this all off, she is a divorce attorney. So, she knows all the tricks in the book to try and hide assets and to make sure she comes out on top in a divorce. But, little does she know, I have been planning my own little surprise for her. My private investigator was really good at getting surveillance footage of my wife cheating with this client of hers. He's very wealthy and he has a lot of power. But, what my wife didn't know is that I have been secretly recording her conversations with this man for a few weeks. I placed a very tiny voice-activated recorder in her car without her knowledge. Even though I am a trust fund baby, I was a mechanic at one time and I told her one day that I was going to clean her car and get the oil changed. That's when I placed a voice-activated recorder in her car. One of the most heartbreaking things I heard, she gave him oral in the back seat of her car. I thought to myself I would never initiate kissing her again, never, but I still had to play dumb. Like I didn't know anything. A few more weeks went by and I had more than enough evidence to confront her with, but I wanted to wait for the right time. I was still unsure if I even wanted to confront her. I also secretly hired a moving company to come and move all of my stuff out of our house while she was at work. I didn't want any type of confrontation with her. I wanted to be long gone before she even got home from work. That day, she called and said she would be working late. When she told me that, I said, "Okay, I love you. I will see you later." After getting off the phone, I called my private investigator and told him that my wife said she was working late. My private investigator said, "Okay, I will tell her and see what she is really up to." A few hours went by and I get a call from my private investigator. He said, "Well, it seems like your wife is not working late. She is currently at a hotel with her client." I told him to stay there and get as much evidence as possible. I wanted to be 100% sure before I took any kind of action. The private investigator said, "Okay, no problem." A few hours went by. The private investigator sent me a video clip of them walking into the room with her client's hand squeezing my wife's ass. I sent the private investigator a text telling him he doesn't need to stay there any longer. That's all the evidence I needed. After that, I continued packing my things while the moving company continued moving my furniture. It wasn't much. I had made arrangements to move into one of my vacation homes that I rent out every year, which was partially furnished. At about 4 p.m., my wife calls me and says she will be home in an hour or two. I told her, "Okay," and hung up the phone. I told the movers we had about an hour left, and I told them the address of the vacation home. They were done about 40 minutes later. I gave them the key and they headed to the house. I locked my old house, set the alarm and got in my car. My movers and I get to the vacation home. When my phone rings, it's my wife. She says she wants me to meet her at our favorite restaurant. I said, "Why?" She says, "I have something to tell you." I get to the restaurant and my wife is already there. She's sitting in a booth. I sit down and she looks at me and she has this weird look on her face. She finally says, "I'm pregnant." I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I told her, "Are you sure? It's mine." She looks at me funny and says, "Why would you say that?" I look at her, take out my phone, show her the video clip of her and her client walking into the hotel room with her client, squeezing her ass. Then I told her, "I know you are cheating on me. And I know you gave this client of yours oral in the back seat of your car. We can do this one of two ways. We can settle this out of court or we can go to court and you will probably get demolished with all of the evidence I have." She didn't say a word for about a minute. Then she looks at me and says she will take her chances in court. All I said was, "Okay," got up and left. The following day, I conferred with a divorce attorney, showed him the evidence and told him to start the divorce process. That same day, she must have called my phone 1,000 times. Remember the day I left her at our favorite restaurant? She went home and found that I had moved out and bombarded my phone that day as well. But I never responded to her. A few weeks later, my divorce attorney said that she was served with the divorce papers and all that's left now is the hearing. A few weeks after that, I get a call from her asking me to meet her for coffee. So I did. She asked me how I was doing and I said, I'm doing just fine. Thank you. Then she asked me if I would consider dropping the divorce. And I said no. I told her, I can't trust you anymore. After 18 years of marriage, you decide to cross the line with the client and you want me to take you back. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. She begged and pleaded with me, even offered to give up her privacy and let me have access to everything. A few weeks later, I get a call from her again, saying she wants to meet for coffee. So I met her again. This time she wanted to know if I would give her another chance. She kept saying, please, please, please. And I said, why? What benefit do I get if I decided to give you another chance? She looked at me with this pitiful look on her face and said, because I love you. I just sat there looking at her for what seemed like an eternity. Then I got up and left. A few days later, I received a package in the mail from her. Contained a box of my favorite cigars and a note that said, I'm sorry. I thought about it for a few days and decided that I just couldn't do it. I had tears rolling down my face. I just couldn't see myself with her. She threw away 18 years for a client that she knew for only a month. I can't think or write any more at this point. I am too mentally distraught. I promise I will come back with an update on my situation. This story is called Update Wife Caught Cheating After 18 Years. Hello. I am back with a quick update. My divorce isn't final yet. My wife asked me to give her another chance. She begged and pleaded with me after I showed her proof that I knew she was cheating on me. She has since asked me multiple times, have I considered giving her another chance in my head? I said I couldn't, but I just haven't told her yet. I don't think I can trust her, but I had a funny feeling. She was still cheating. So with my gut instinct, I called my private investigator and told him I wanted him to continue to follow her. A week goes by. He calls me and tells me he has not seen her with that client. She goes to work and goes home. He also tells me that when he follows her home, he stays for about 30 to 40 minutes to see if she leaves the house. According to him, she hasn't. Fast forward 3 weeks and my private investigator follows my wife home and he waited for 30 minutes. Then out of nowhere, he sees a car drive down to the house. He's never seen this car before. It's the guy she has been cheating with. He sends me a clip of this guy walking up to the door. He knocks on the door. My wife opens the door and kisses him. After that, I sent my wife a text and told her, I will not give her another chance. I will see you in divorce court. As of May 21st, 2022, I don't have a date for my divorce hearing. That's all I have for now. Thank you everyone for all the support. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share your own marriage stories in the comments below and stay tuned for more